It is with great sadness that I have to inform you guys that Deathloop has now been officially pushed back to September 14, 2021. Now, this comes with an announcement made today by the official Deathloop Twitter and Arkane Studios that basically made a statement reading the following. We've made the decision to delay the launch of Deathloop to September 14, 2021. We're committed to quality and preserving our team's ambition for Deathloop while ensuring the health and safety of everyone at Arkane. Now, that is actually a statement I completely agree with. I think with COVID and everything, a lot of people, especially those that, have had people affected by COVID recently, can testify that, the health of everyone around you is very, very important. It's definitely very important if you had someone suffer from COVID. So if you had anybody in your family suffer from COVID, my sympathies and prayers, of course. And we continue with the message. It says, we'll be using this extra time to accomplish our goal, create a fun, stylish, and mind-bending player experience. Now, that's another thing I completely agree, due to the fact of 2020 and 2021 so far. I have to admit that, with COVID and everything, I wasn't honestly expecting to do much. I kind of had a feeling I was going to be playing a lot of games. However, after the mess of Cyberpunk 2077, I am actually glad to be hearing these messages. And I'll tell you why in a second, because as you're all aware, I would rather have something that actually is properly built to be able to enjoy than actually have something released at a mess that I am honestly going to be super hyped for. I'm going to play, I'm going to leave after about 2-3 weeks and completely forget about it, which is the case for me with Cyberpunk 2077. But that's a whole point for another whole story. Now, following the message itself, it also states, we apologize for the extended wait and thank you all for your passion and excitement. It's the fuel that powers our creativity and our hard work. We can't wait to show you more Deathloop soon. Game director Dinga Bakaba, art director Sébastien Mitton, and the Arkane Line team. Now, for me personally, I have to say, thanks to Cyberpunk 2077, I now have a much more better understanding and appreciation of things being delayed. Now, when I'm saying this, I'm not saying everything has to be delayed, because I'll be honest with you guys, I did notice a trend recently of a lot of things being delayed more and more. Now, I'm not saying this is like some sort of weird conspiracy theory, but I have noticed that a lot of things are being delayed. Now, to give you an example, I'm not saying in the past year, I'll give you my personal example, Doom Eternal. Now, I remember hearing Doom Eternal in Cyberpunk and actually telling myself, you know what, this is definitely what I'm looking forward to. This is what I want to see, this is what I want to get. Then all of a sudden, I see a pattern. Oh, this game gets delayed. What's that? Doom Eternal gets delayed. Well, I'll be honest, I'm comparing apples and oranges here. Doom Eternal and Cyberpunk did have two major differences. One of them was delayed once, the other one was basically a negative feedback loop of constantly being teased. It's going to be delayed, it's going to be delayed, but it's going to be good. And then end up getting something that honestly wasn't so good. So, what does this mean to me, and what does this mean to a lot of people regarding the Deathloop pushback being to September, actually, which is a pretty big pushback, because if you think about it, at least Cyberpunk did try to push back, but they were going incredibly ridiculous, saying, hey, listen, it's only being pushed back like a month, it's only being pushed back a couple months, and eventually I think it was like a couple weeks, if I remember right. Now, I'll be honest again here, my honest opinion on this, I'm actually a little bit relieved. I'm a little bit happier to hear that Deathloop is actually going to be pushed back, because I am a big fan of Arkane Studios. I am a big fan of the Arkane franchise, and honestly, I am a big fan of the Prey games. Now, when I mean games, I mean both the original one that was completely different because it did this whole portal thing, as well as the new remade Prey, which honestly was very refreshing. I was not expecting that, and strongly encourage everyone to give it a shot. I feel like not a lot of people had the chance to play Prey, but a lot of people had the chance to play Dishonored. Now, for me, I have to say that I like hearing these messages again. I know I mentioned it earlier, but it's a little bit sign of relief to hear somebody say, hey, you know what? I'm actually now going to be pushing back this game, not just for the health reason, but also for the reason of making a good game. Now, for me, I would rather hear these things than actually be teased, in other words, for a couple months, which again, May is still in a month, almost a month away, almost a month and a half away, but still, it's a better sign than hearing this 2 days or a week before release. And having a date of September 14, 2021 is honestly a very realistic date for me. It's not something like, hey, we're going to push it back to June, for example, which is a month, or maybe a couple more months up to August. September 14, 2021 is in a reasonable time. And as the article says, which I'm going to link in the link below, It actually also mentions a couple things such as other games being released, such as the much anticipated Resident Evil Village, and also the much anticipated, which I am personally looking forward to, and I'll definitely make a video, you'll probably see some gameplay in the background later on, of Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Now, there's also the question of, will the delay make it good? Which is also a very fair point to make, because keep in mind, this delay is being pushed for reasons according to COVID, and also for quality assurance reasons. But, you know, a lot of games have been pushed back, and a lot of times just being pushed back doesn't give you a reason to say the game's going to be good. Like, again, Cyberpunk 2077. Now, that's a whole different story again. Some people will be complaining, saying, hey, you know what, Cyberpunk 2077 was completely different. You can't be comparing these two, and you're absolutely right. But then again, look at Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal was pushed back, but the game itself was amazing. Now, some people will argue as well, well, you know, you didn't have the whole COVID issue going on and everything like that. I agree, but you know what? At least it was pushed back. Now, another game that I'm going to be comparing to that is going to be Halo Infinite. Now, for a lot of people who remember Halo Infinite, it was supposed to be out during the holidays, during the new Xbox craze and PlayStation 5 craze. You know what? That's actually good that they pushed it back. And again, I'm happy they pushed it back. Now, it's not the same thing as Arkane Studios pushing it back a couple months. They literally pushed it back and said, you know what, we're going to let you know when it's going to be released. Which again is a really good sign again. And I'm saying this again for the millionth time to a lot of people, not just you, for a lot of people around me as well. Delays are not a big issue, especially now that we actually got hands-on experience of what a real mess of a game can be. Now, for me, when it comes to Deathloop, I am expecting a certain quality standard when it comes to, you know, my Dishonored experience as well as my Prey experience. I am expecting a quality game. I'm expecting a game that, according to the advertisement, is going to be awesome and to play with, and it's also going to be awesome to, you know, speed run. And again, I'm using the keyword here, speed run, because one of the details that I mentioned about Deathloop was being able to solve this whole crime mystery thing in one run without dying. Now, how they're going to play it off, I really don't know, but I can tell you from experience playing the Dishonored franchise, they're really good at going through the whole cause and effect. Now, using Dishonored as an example here, Dishonored had a real good feeling of high chaos versus low chaos in the first game, which kind of give you an idea of what the enemies were to suspect and kind of expect from you and everything, so on and so forth. Now, for Prey, on the other hand, we didn't really have the whole high chaos and low chaos issue. What we did end up having was actually, you know, the whole sense of like, hey, I just got here after a big mess, and the attention to detail, the whole story building around, you know, the gameplay, around the whole story, just walking around, basically looking at the scenery, going like, wow, someone must have locked themselves here and probably, you know, tried to fight off what was going on, and then boom, something got through the door. Now, that for me is a really good sign again, because, you know, I have high hopes for Deathloop. I love Arkane Studios. So far, they haven't let me down, and I am willing to give them the benefit of the doubt with this delay. And I'll say this again, you know what? Good for them. Let them take time to make this game. I want to get a quality game, especially something that's going to be released in September, after I have a bunch of games I'm already planning on playing, such as Resident Evil and Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Now, that brings me back to like a long story you probably all heard about, but remember Titanfall 2. Titanfall 2 was also a game I was looking forward to play. And what ended up happening, ended up getting released right in the middle of the holiday season, or a little bit earlier, I think. It was around October it was released. But long story short, the game was well made, and it was just simply, boom, dumped there to die, in other words. Now, I'm not saying this would have been the case with Deathloop if it hasn't been pushed from May 21st to September 14th. But I do think it is indeed a good thing also that it's being pushed back, because it's given us a little bit more time to rest and relax, get ourselves a little bit more of, like, you know, gamer fatigue, but less gamer fatigue in a sense, because I got a bunch of games I'm still playing right now. There's a bunch of games I'm planning to play, such as Resident Evil, which I guarantee you guys I'm going to be taking a little bit of time, taking like the whole missions apart, breaking down the whole story and everything, as well as you know, Mass Effect, which for a lot of people that know me personally, I literally lived and breathed Mass Effect for a long time. Not because it's Canadian, but for the fact that, honestly, Mass Effect had an amazing story building, had amazing attention to detail. Maybe not the third so much, but definitely the first and the second, and the promises we're getting from Mass Effect Legendary Edition are honestly good to hear, and they're very refreshing to hear. And you know what? That's probably it, guys. I'm really looking forward to Deathloop now. As a matter of fact, I am happier hearing that this game is being released a little bit later on during the year, and during September, guys, let's be honest, there's not much going on during September. A lot of times, a lot of people are just waiting till the end of the year here, you know, the holiday season, to really get that game or something. So for me, that's pretty much it. I just want to give you guys my personal opinion when it comes to the Deathloop, you know, message. I strongly encourage you guys to go read a little bit more about it. And just before I let you guys go, I'm also going to mention one thing that I'm actually curious to hear about, and you might hear me make a video later on about this, which is the fact of Bethesda. Now, for a lot of you who don't know, Bethesda got bought out by Microsoft. In this game here, and this is where it gets really, really fun, this game was supposed to be a timed exclusive for the PlayStation for a whole year. Now remember, this game was supposed to be released in the holidays when the PlayStation 5 comes out. Now it's a whole different situation with the whole game being released later on, almost a year after the new consoles got released, and it's owned by Bethesda and Microsoft owns it. Is it still going to be a timed exclusive? Are we going to be seeing a message down the line saying, hey guys, you know what, we're no longer time exclusive? Because I wouldn't be surprised. Think about it this way, guys. You sit down, you're sipping your tea or coffee or whatever you're sipping on, hopefully something delicious, and then you get a message, thank you for being patient, from Arkane Studios, sincerely. You know what, this whole time issue, forget about it. It's not going to be released in all 3 consoles. Now that, honestly, would be an even better surprise for me. But again, that's a whole theory, that's a whole video for itself. But still, thank you so much for listening, guys. This was Critical Chris, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.